This video I'm talking about how the banks get over on the Fed and on society, and how 12 banks feed the Federal Reserve, which regulates and prints the money and sets the interest rates, it sets the discount rate, and it sets the reserve requirement ratio. You know how they play with derivatives and put back stocks and put options, and how they yeah, that's not a little term I call, how they bet against stocks, so, and betting that they would drop by a certain date, and how they did that on 9/11. Okay, well, let's talk about 1913. You know, the Federal Reserve established. It has 7-member board, has 12 Federal Reserve banks. Now, the purchase and sale of government securities is the main way the Fed is going to control the money, and does control the money. You know, the notes, the bills, the bonds. There's also securities that are sold, and they require a certain amount. You know, when I talk about the rate requirement ratio, you know, like say 10%, they require 10% of, they require them to have 10%, and they can loan out the 90. Now, banks, they purchase securities because they're low risk investments compared to the consumer loans, especially during recessions. See, this is what happened, is that the Fed buys the securities, and the interest rates drop, and the economy gets stimulated, right? But the banks, see, as they're regulating the interest, it's like they're working together. These guys are regulating. One hand is regulating the interest rates and the discount rates and the reserve requirement ratio. The other one is loaning the government bonds. And when one goes bad, it depends on the other. And they're working together to take your money out of your purse with two hands, two-handed. They're pickpocketing with you with two hands. So, there's many studies by MDs that have been done that show that fluoride, which is in many things, I saw it in Alhambra water. It says right there, fluoridated water. Fluoride in toothpaste, fluoride in this and that, okay? And when you consume too much of it, it builds up in your body, and it has serious side effects, including cancer, and, you know, killing far more brain cells than most drugs out there. So, what is going on here is they're dumbing you down while they're robbing you. You know, that is pretty much what they do in the ghetto. A hustler does, you know, a pimp does to his whore. He dumbs her down, says this is all that matters, is slanging that pussy. None of that important stuff matters. No educational stuff matters. This is what drug dealers do to the crackheads. You know, don't talk anything, you know, they don't want to sit there and talk about anything intelligent. Just buy the dope and go on being a dickhead, being a dumbass. And as the dope dumbs them down, it's easier to hustle them as well. And so it's the same thing with the government. Since they're big-time drug dealers, they're big-time pimps, and they're big-time hustlers and robbers. They're pickpocketing you with both hands. Remember, 12 Federal Reserve banks, 7-member board. 1913 is when it started. Do not forget this. This is key. Okay? This is key. The banks buy government bonds and securities, and they're actually holding up the Fed. So, an article I'd like to touch on before I leave is an article by by Bloomberg. Now let me show you this article. Be so kind. It says, foreign banks taps Fed's secret line. U.S. Federal Chairman Ben Bernanke, his 2-year fight to shield crisis squeezed banks from the stigma of revealing their public loans, protected a lender to local governments in Belgium, a Japanese fishing corporate financier, and a company part owned by the Central Bank of Libya. Dexia S.A. Dexb, based in Brussels and Paris, borrowed as much as 33.5 billion throughout its New York branch from the Fed's discount window lending program. So, the Feds are bailing out the foreign banks as well, and they have that same relationship with them. And who are the bankers? The Rothschild banking cartel, for instance. Okay? So this one family which controls these banks all over the world, which are getting bailed out, and which are also buying up bonds and buying up companies, and anything that's worth anything they're buying up, while they're controlling the money and the controlling the interest rate at the same time. Think about it. This is very basic robbery. See all the different banks, and any banks they don't own, well, we're going to go to that country and fight them and take them over and do them like we did Gaddafi. That is what they're up to.